Hi, and welcome to our presentation of Food to Feces by Simone, Kristen, Sam, Hilary, and Anat. To start, let's join the hamburger's journey through our digestive system. Now, what is the digestive system? It is all the organs that helps to ingest, transport, digest, and absorb the ingested nutrients that come into our body. Our digestive organs are split into two different categories, the gastrointestinal tract and the alimentary canal. It takes part in both mechanical and chemical digestion. The first place that the food ends up at is our oral cavity, which is known as our mouth. It involves in both mechanical and chemical digestion and is bounded by an anterior and posterior. The epithelium lining protects our oral cavity. There are many components to our oral cavity. There's our cheeks, lips, gingivae, which is also known as our gums, and the tongue, which helps to shape the food into bolus and to be easier swallowed. A crucial part of our oral cavity is the teeth. It is known as the dentation. It involves in a part of a mechanical digestion process called mastication, which is commonly known chewing. Each tooth has a crown, a net, and roots that connects to the gum. Human has a total of 32 permanent teeth, which are developed from 20 deciduous teeth, baby teeth. Salivary glands are also extremely important in our digestive tract. It collectively produces and secretes saliva, which are fluids that assist in the initial activities of digestion. It helps to moisten, cleanse, and lubricate the oral cavity, and the amylase in saliva breaks down the carbohydrate in the food. Now, the food leaves our mouth as bolus.
The soft palate is located posteriorly in the roof of your mouth, formed from skeletal muscle, and is covered in non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. This is where your uvula hangs from. The soft palate is called soft due to the fact that its mucosa lies on top of muscle tissue as opposed to bone. When swallowing your food, your soft palate and your uvula lift to block the passage to the nasopharynx. Used in both the respiratory and the digestive system, the pharynx is situated posteriorly to the nasal and oral cavities, as well as the larynx. The parts of the pharynx used in the digestive system are called the oropharynx and the laryngopharynx. The pharynx uses three muscular pairs in order to pass the bolus from the pharynx to the esophagus. The pharynx is funnel-shaped, which helps the muscle pairs that form its walls to push ingested food downwards. These muscle pairs are called the superior, middle, and inferior pharyngeal constrictors. Contraction of these muscles leads to the bolus being pushed towards the esophagus. Muscle contraction of the pharyngeal constrictors also leads to the epiglottis closing over the larynx to prevent ingested food from entering the respiratory system. The esophagus connects the pharynx to the stomach. It is almost 25 centimeters long. It runs vertically along the anterior side of the spine. Without the presence of food, it is flat. Only with food does it slightly expand. Like the pharynx, the esophagus is made up of non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium as it does not absorb any nutrients. The muscularis of the esophagus is unique due to its blend of both skeletal and smooth muscle fibers. These fibers allow the food to travel down towards the lower esophageal sphincter and then into the stomach. Food moves down the esophagus through a process called peristalsis, which includes wave-like muscle contractions. Peristalsis ends once the food reaches the lower esophageal sphincter and then the stomach, where chemical and mechanical digestion begins.
The stomach is made up of four distinct parts. First is the cardia. The cardia is where the mixture of food and saliva, also known as the bolus, makes its first entry into the stomach from the esophagus. The cardiac sphincter is the muscle that controls the flow of bolus into the stomach and also assists in managing stomach reflux. The second part is the fundus, which is located at the top of the stomach with its superior surface contacting the diaphragm. The fundus expands to accommodate undigested food and gas that is produced from the chemical digestion process. The body of the stomach is the third part. The body is sometimes referred to as the corpus and is the largest part of the stomach where the majority of the digestion occurs. The inner and outer lining of the stomach are made up of epithelial tissue. The pylorus is the final part of the stomach that leads to the duodenum. The movement of chyme that was converted from bolus is controlled by the pyloric sphincter. The pylorus is made up of two parts. The pyloric atrium is the opening to the body of the stomach, and the pyloric canal is the opening to the duodenum. There are two aspects to stomach digestion of the burger, chemical and mechanical. In chemical digestion, there are three gastric secretions that contribute to digestion. The first is hydrochloric acid, which is secreted from the pericheal cells that helps to break down the burger and kill microorganisms. The second is pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is released from chief cells. With the help of hydrochloric acid, pepsinogen produces pepsin enzymes, which are needed in order to break down the proteins of the burger. The third is mucus cells, which secrete alkaline mucus. Mucus is necessary for protecting the walls of the stomach from its highly acidic environment. The second part to stomach digestion is mechanical digestion. This process occurs through muscle contractions that assist in breaking down the hamburger bolus into chyme in preparation for the next steps of digestion.
Chyme then enters the small intestine. The small intestine is about 6 meters in length and consists of 3 sections, the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. The small intestine is where 90% of ingested nutrients and water from your yummy hamburger are absorbed into the bloodstream to be utilized by the body. The entire small intestine consists of 4 layers: the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa. The innermost mucosa and submucosa layers form the circular folds, which are visible to the naked eye. The muscularis consists of 2 layers of smooth muscle, inner circular layer and outer longitudinal layer. Digestion is aided by the outer smooth muscle layers of the small intestine, as they contract in a process called segmentation. Through segmentation, the chyme is moved backwards and forwards, allowing for mixing with the digestive juices, and increases time for nutrient absorption. Absorption of nutrients and water occurs in the villi of the mucus layer. Each villus is a finger-like projection that contains an arteriole and venule, which allow for the absorbed nutrients to enter the bloodstream. Absorption is further intensified with large circular folds, which increase the surface area available for absorption. Chyme from the stomach first enters the duodenum, a 25 centimeter portion of the small intestine that forms a C shape around the head of the pancreas. Bile from the liver and digestive enzymes from the pancreas empty into the duodenum and aid in food digestion. Bile is created by the liver and stored in bile ducts or in the gallbladder. Since the hamburger you ate was greasy, bile is released into the duodenum, and this bile will help you digest and absorb those fats. Pancreas releases pancreatic juices with digestive enzymes into the duodenum to chemically digest the chyme. Goblet cells within the mucosa layer produce mucin, which mixes with water to form a mucus layer that protects the intestine against these acidic digestive juices. The next section of the small intestine, the jejunum, is 2.5 meters long. In the jejunum, there is further digestion and absorption. The final section is the ileum, which is 3.6 meters in length. This is the final portion of the small intestine before connecting with the large intestine.
The large intestine is the final section of the gastrointestinal tract that performs the important task of absorbing water and vitamins while converting digested food into feces. The watery material first enters the large intestine and solidifies into feces, stores the feces until the body is ready to defecate. The large intestine has an approximate length of 1.5 meters and a diameter of 6.5 centimeters, giving it its name. First region is a blind sac called the cecum, located in the right lower abdominal quadrant, which is connected to the ileocecal valve, which is the attachment to the distal end of the small intestine. Projecting inferiorly from the posterior-medial region of the cecum is a vermiform appendix. At the level of the ileocecal valve, the colon begins. There are 4 partition segments. From the superior edge forms a hollow tube known as the ascending colon that extends along the right side of the abdomen. Just inferior to the diaphragm, the ascending colon turns 90 degrees towards the middle of the body at the hepatic flexure and continues across the abdomen as a transverse colon. At the left side, the transverse colon turns about 90 degrees at the splenic flexure and runs down the left side as the descending colon. At the end of the descending colon, the large intestine bends slightly medially at the sigmoid flexure to form the S-shaped sigmoid colon before straightening into the rectum. The rectum is the enlarged final segment of the large intestine that terminates at the anal canal. It is a muscular tube that rarely expands to store accumulated fecal material. The anal canal passes through an opening in the levator ani muscle of the pelvic floor and ends at the anus. At the base of anal canal are the internal and external anal sphincters, which close off the opening to the anal canal and relax or open during defecation. Finally, after the large intestine absorbs the water, the dry condensed fecal matter is stored in the rectum and sigmoid colon until it can be eliminated through the process of defecation. That completes our journey through the gastrointestinal system. Now we have 2 discussion questions for you. Why are certain foods, like corn, more difficult for the human gastrointestinal system to digest? And secondly, how and why do people pass gas? Thank you so much for listening.